Idiocracy is becoming real. Oh boy, oh boy.
How many people watching this have seen or ever heard of a 2006 movie called Idiocracy?
Oh.
I would guess that there's a pretty decent number of people who have,
We have.
at least nowadays. But you might be surprised to learn that the movie's eventual popularity was actually never intended from the start. For those of you who have seen it, you can probably skip ahead a few minutes right now because you already know the plot, obviously. But if you haven't seen the film before, it's effectively a scathing critique of American corporatism. The main character, Joe Bowers, and a lady of the night, if you will, named Rita, become the subjects of an army experiment, cryogenic freezing in this case, but instead of 1 year, they get frozen for hundreds. After finally waking up in 2505, I think it is, they re-enter the modern world and they find out that everyone around them is basically brain dead. Basic infrastructure is now falling apart. Everyone drinks Brondo instead of water, which is like a play on Gatorade.
It's like Gatorade. Yep.
The film is basically a never-ending string of jokes about how everyone has become an idiot, which leaves the two main characters, who are decidedly average back in the time that they come from,
like geniuses,
the most intelligent people on all of planet Earth.
That's right.
Simply because of basic logic, mental aptitude.
All right.
Saint gods.
Probably not.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
And deductive reasoning. It's honestly prophetic in a sense when it comes to the concept of corporate advertising, at least. People buy everything that they want from a city-sized Costco facility, where they're greeted by someone who says, "Welcome to Costco. I love you."
There it is.
They get treated in the hospital by plugging little sensors into their mouth and their ass and their ear as well, with a drooling human operator who doesn't even really know what's happening, as the machine spits out a diagnosis for them.
Right, of course.
And all over the place, everywhere, you see a kind of logical extreme in the world of attention advertising, which now caters to people who are barely even smart enough to communicate with each other. Language has become a sort of broken slang. The most popular show on all of television is a program called Ow My Balls.
That's...
Imagine logging into Marvel Rivals. You got your chippies, you got your cola, you got everything going. And you know what? You're crushing match after match, victory after victory. The streak is real. But just when you're riding high, the tide turns. Suddenly, you find yourself teamed with a bunch of noobs. And your opponents, they seem like freaking experts. Was it bad luck? Or was it something planned? This roller coaster of emotions is not organic. Some players insist it's engineered. In this investigative deep dive that I have created, this monstrosity of research, we're gonna unravel the mystery. I'm gonna take you on a journey, buddy. We're first gonna journey through the history of online game matchmaking, and then we're gonna discover how modern algorithms like EOMM and OptMatch, don't worry, those things are gonna make sense, work behind the scenes, and why many players feel the system is stacking the deck. And hey, for the last 2 weeks I've been going blind on research papers and technical things and some bits of code at some point. And I really intended to make a very complete, well-researched, well-thought-out video here, so your likes and comments and subscriptions are deeply appreciated. As you can see, I have less than 1,000 subscribers, and yet I'm putting in all this effort, and it makes me feel like an idiot a little bit, but at the same time, you couldn't catch me dead just putting on gameplay for 40 minutes and talking like an idiot. So if you want to reward me for my effort here, you know how to do it. All right, let's jump into the video. History time. See, I thought that to understand Marvel Rivals as matchmaking, I really needed to first see how matchmaking in online gaming evolved and how it all started. And you know what? It wasn't always guided by these complex, crazy algorithms. And that sounds right. When I was playing Counter-Strike as a kid, I don't think there was much behind the scenes. So in the early days of online gaming, matchmaking really just meant just a simple lobby or a server where anybody could join. And that's how I remember it. That's what I grew up on. That's probably what you grew up on. We're both old. So you remember, it was the Wild West, man. Sometimes you're going to be facing pros way above your level and just accept the loss, and other times you're going to be running people over because it's just a noob that joined. There was a push for fair matches, right? So this push led to skill rating systems. A really good example that I found is the ELO rating system from chess, of all things, which inspired early game rankings. I thought that was pretty cool. So by 2004, the developers of Halo 2 were messing around with the new Bayesian rating called True Skill to improve upon ELO. And I think that's where it all starts.
Just as expected. Things are gonna be different this time.
Timmy spotted bad guys. There they are.
I cast you
You're
back
welcome.
to the death. Good medicine.
Tandy, watch out. See? I'm fucking helpful.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
Back here. Hey up.
The rift is getting bigger. From the looks
You're
of it.
ready for action.
Pursue.
One down.
Woo! You go, girl.
Ping the bad guy.
Almost there. Don't turn back now. Must be protected.
Fucking hurts. See? You're welcome.
Go back to whatever sea cave you crawled out of.
Vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
I'll patch you up.
I am ready to put on a show. My animal pals are waiting. Get ready. Here comes the team. They got still. I tried to help. Oh, on time.
You're ready for action.
Us against the world.
This is a nice spot. You're welcome. That's what I need.
By the eye of Agamotto!
Appreciate the heat.
Sterner challenges await.
Ready for a boost? You're welcome.
Guide this vehicle to
See?
its
I'm
destination.
fucking helpful.
Seriously? Go back to whatever sea cave you crawled out of.
I'll patch you up.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
That fucking hurt.
Oh, a touch of healing.
Tremble before blast!
What the fuck are these things anymore? You're ready for This is real firepower!
You go, girl. Here we come.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Calamari. We got the drop all the time.
My good deed for the day.
Almost there. Don't turn back now.
I am strengthened.
Again! This is a nice spot.
Who will rid us of moonlight?
You're ready for action.
The moon haunts you!
Fucking hurt. You're welcome. See? I'm fucking helpful.
I am ready to put on a show.
This is real firepower!
Us against the world.
You're welcome. My good deed for the day.
Appreciate you.
By the eye of Agamotto!
Here comes Rocket again.
Oh no.
You're ready for action.
Only 60 seconds left.
I'm opening a portal.
Get that vehicle moving again!
Step on it! We got a web to save or something.
So cold.
Don't mind
The
me.
moon haunts you.
You're ready for action.
Good medicine.
Down to 30 seconds.
Yes. Nothing here.
This is a nice spot. My good deed.
Vehicle reached the checkpoint. Keep up the momentum. Here we go,
Who needs a
back
power
up.
up?
Stand down.
I'll patch you up.
That's what I needed. Here is an enemy to pursue.
Hey, watch out.
Team play. That's me. Go.
Don't worry, Spider Zero. Well, that's it. Don't let anything stand in your way.
I unleash
Against the
special
world.
rays for us.
Only 60 seconds left.
This is real firepower. You're ready for action.
Oh, look at that. So close. This is your big chance.
Back in
I
action.
am ready to put on a show.
What are these weird keyhole things anyway?
Tremble before fast.
Down to 30 seconds.
Ready for action.
Oh, come back, little land shark. The final 10 seconds.
Rockets, launch it again. You're welcome.
I am.
The current score is 2-0. Time to switch things up, including which side you're on.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
The right heroes could make all the difference. Round 2,
Best
go!
friends are crooks and villains.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
The ancient arcane deities you battle. Have you ever found it peculiar how closely they resemble the creatures of the deep?
I have noticed the similarities, particularly when seen in their tentacles.
Should you ever encounter one you cannot defeat, perhaps I could communicate with you.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
More bad guys. Hi, mate. I'm just dying.
We won't run away anymore.
Ready for a boost?
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
You're ready for action.
I am strengthened for battle.
That is much better.
Better stop that vehicle. Thanks so much.
I'll patch you up.
I need some help. Thanks.
See? I'm blocking. You're ready for action.
Sound the retreat.
You're welcome.
I am strengthened for battle.
That's the block. is real firepower! You're ready for it!
Us against the world!
I unleash the Vishanti's power.
See? I'm fucking helpful.
Good medicine.
Get ready to lock.
Judge, jury, executioner!
I'll patch you up. My good deed for the day.
Hunt them.
He stopped them in their tracks!
This is a nice spot. Down.
There's no
You're
rest
gonna
for
hurt.
I was worried.
I'll patch you up.
I suck. Grand finale.
Okay, hold your horses. I'll deploy another beat.
Do your worst.
This is real firepower! I'll patch you up.
A nice team.
I am strengthened for battle.
Us against the world!
Get ready to lock.
Thanks so much. We are undefeatable!
What's the tail?
I'll patch you up.
Only 60 seconds left.
Judge, jury, executioner! By the...
See? I'm fucking helpful. Now! That fucking hurt!
Tremble before fast! Guide my spear! Tremble before fast!
Double KO!
You ain't got rid of me yet.
Down to 30 seconds. They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
Hey up! You're ready for action!
So cold. I better stop that vehicle. A beam of light. I was on the brink.
This is real firepower! I'll patch you up.
I like the cold. Just embrace the light. We are undefeatable! Come on, time!
You cannot hurt me! All that bravado for nothing, Castle. We make a good team.
Fight it, Ty!
Judge, jury, executioner! By the eye of Agamotto! I have fallen under their sway.
I feel like I'm being watched. Double KO!
Beware my might.
Only 60 seconds left. He stopped them in their tracks. I like the cold.
May not be so long. A shortcut. I seem to be unprotected.
Down to 30 seconds.
Stand down again!
Fire mode. Get ready.
You shall not be harmed.
This should keep us safe.
Do be more careful next time. My power cannot be quelled.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner. Us against the world!
Magneto!
There's still a chance to stop them.
Judge, jury, execution!
That is not that vehicle.
There's my gun!
There they are. They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
Quelled.
Need some help.
Magic and magnetism.
Stop that vehicle. Only 60 seconds left.
Rebirth is a mutant's greatest gift.
It's now or never. Stop them.
You need not fear. I feel like myself again.
Grab the ball. Down to 30 seconds.
By the insignificant mess.
I like the cold.
All eyes on these coordinates.
The final 10 seconds.
This could be treacherous territory.
I feel like myself again. You are under my judge, jury, executioner! Tremble before fast!
We are undefeatable! Please, don't give them another inch. Or else.
Punch your ass in serious.
Final score, 2-3. Well, you can't expect to win them all. You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Be wary. No timeline exists where Magneto yields.
Round 1, go!
Charles dreamed of a safe haven for all mutants. At
30
last,
seconds before you attack.
I
Get
have made
ready.
it a reality.
The actual Magneto. Wow.
Should I know who you are?
No, but you should know magnetism doesn't work on super cooled materials. Guess what I can do?
Be impertinent, it seems.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
This fight is for our destiny.
Ah, here they are. I feel like myself again.
Just release the light. Help. All right, Ty. Now we really have to attack.
Yo, eyes on your back.
You should be ashamed. My power cannot be quelled.
I like the cold.
You are under my protection.
Thanks for the shield.
We could cause such conflict here.
I shall not be removed so easily.
Anyone willing to help? Behind you!
Much better.
An extra force field? Great!
Wakanda answers the call to battle. Tremble before blast!
Significant mass.
Lead them to consume!
Disappear!
I feel like myself again.
I am Groot! Behold the god of thunder!
I am ready to put on a show! A little help, please.
Doing this my way!
Fear Magneto!
I'll patch you up.
Hey, Danny! Enjoy the You need not fear.
Better make this count.
Only 60 seconds left.
Myself again. You cannot hurt me.
Love battlefield
My
medicine.
power cannot be quelled.
Down to 30 seconds.
You are under my protection.
All right, Ty. Now we really have
You
to
are
attack.
welcome.
That sparking hurt.
I feel like myself again.
The final 10 seconds.
Our enemy has been spotted.
Disappear! Embrace the light. Keep fighting until we have a winner.
I'll patch you up.
The current score is 0-0. Time to switch things up, including which side you're on.
Open your eyes.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Be wary. No timeline exists where Magneto yields.
past was mired in loss and grief, but the future belongs to mutant kind.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
If you could, Magneto, would you do what Doom has done? If I could create a world that would be safe forever for mutants, yes, I would.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area. I'm hurt.
Much better.
Sorry, no escaping us now.
I feel like myself again.
I'm hurt. Final score, 0-1. Well, you can't expect to win them all. You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh? Crooks and villains. Armor patch here! Pay up!
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
You can't have my new arm, Rocket.
I'll make it with you. Wild, Bucky! Go on, name your price.
No raccoons can have it.
Yikes!
Now I'm trying to
I
make
mean,
sure nobody
technically I
else
ain't a
has to
raccoon,
lose
but
theirs.
something tells me I shouldn't push my luck.
Time for some fireworks. The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Incoming!
My past may be pretty cloudy. If we don't win this, the future is pretty clear.
Help get that vehicle to its destination. I'm hurt.
You're ready for action!
Thanks so much.
Ow! That fucking hurt!
Good medicine.
You're ready for action! I found fighting. Armor packs here. Pay up. Good. Who needs a power up? You're ready for action.
A nice deep freeze. A nest of spider bombs.
This is real firepower! You're welcome. Our enemies are time to roll out, Zero. My good deed for the medicine. Again!
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh? The wrong thing is more fun. This is a nice spot.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
You're a shooter, like me.
There's no shooter like me, buddy.
Never figured I'd have something in common with a talking raccoon.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I'll make them pay.
You're welcome. Incoming.
I'm good to go.
Armor packs here. Pay up.
Good medicine.
Follow the enemy.
Oh, I'm fine.
I'll patch you up. I'm spinning. I'm spinning.
These mechanical arachnids.
You're ready for action.
Powering up.
Get rid of that. Who did that?
Good medicine.
Team play.
Us against the world.
That'll be ready.
Who needs a power-up? You're ready? This is real firepower!
Ashanti's power.
Where there's a portal, I'm sure there are bad guys.
I am ready to put on a show.
I'll patch you up.
Must resist.
launch it again! I'll patch you up.
That's what I needed.
Stand
down!
My good deed for the day.
They don't look friendly.
You're ready for action. Oh man, I gotta make another beacon? Down! That fucking hurt! Yeah! I'll patch you up.
Bless the healing arts. I am strengthened for battle.
I'm spinning! I'm spinning!
Powering up. Only 60 seconds left.
You're welcome.
Behold the god of thunder!
Fire mode.
Maximum
This is
pulse!
real firepower! I'll patch you up. Someone's...
Us gets the down to 30 seconds.
Time short. Rockets, launch it again. Whoa, we need some backup here.
The final 10 seconds.
This is a nice spot.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Oh, I'm gonna get some revenge. Enemy in front. You're welcome.
Much better.
Armor packed here. Pay up.
Good
My good deed.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
I'll patch you up.
Feeling stronger already.
More shall bide his time. For now. It is prudent to withdraw for the moment.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
Who needs a power up? You're welcome.
How refreshing assistance!
My good deed for the day. Doesn't the king have servants to move his tacky statues? Oh.
Ah, that's better.
Enemy in front of us. My life force is exposed.
Almost there. Don't turn back now.
You're ready for action.
I am ready to put on a show.
This is real firepower! I'll patch you up.
Us against the world!
Only 60 seconds left.
Someone scratch my back.
Who is behind you, my ally?
Vehicle moving again.
We're about to be late for our appointment with the king.
Down to 30 seconds.
You ain't got rid of me yet. You're ready for action.
Any medics around?
The final 10 seconds.
You're welcome.
Behold the god of thunder!
Here comes Rocket again! Relay deployed! It ain't cheap! You're welcome! That's blocking her!
Let us hope the Orisha are smiling upon us.
I am strengthened.
Oh, I'm fine, don't mind me.
The vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
Here is an enemy to pursue.
Quite open. I'll patch you up.
Sorry, soldier. Another wrong. You will rid us of moonlight no longer.
Only 60 seconds left.
Welcome. Team play. That's me.
Hope the Orisha are smiling upon us.
Us against the world!
He'll be back. Our enemies are here.
Relay deployed. It ain't cheap.
That's so perfect.
Hey!
That blocking hurt.
Down to 30 seconds.
You'll not resist your dark side.
Oh, I'm fine. Don't mind me.
The moon haunts you!
You're welcome.
The final 10 seconds. That's it. Don't let anything stand in your way.
The king wants his cat figure.
I am ready to put on a show.
This is real firepower! You're welcome.
Much better.
Problem solved! My good deed! I'll patch you up.
Powerful spell.
Oh, someone scratch my back.
So close. This is your big chance.
The moon haunts you!
Bring on the chaos.
Watch me go.
You need to teach me that. You're under my spell.
I'm back!
The current score is 3-2-0. Time to switch things up, including which side you're on.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Be wary. No timeline exists where Magneto yields.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
Round 2.
Chips it
Go!
down. You want your heroes a little roguish and scruffy, like me.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
We find ourselves caught in a battle between two dooms, with no way of truly knowing which one of them is right.
We would be better off making a deal with Mephisto.
I have done that, Wanda. I can assure you we most certainly would not.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
So there are two dooms, huh? Sounds like overpopulation.
Enemy in front of us.
I'll patch you up.
Good medicine.
Oh, I'm fine. Bless the healing. Get in there. Team play. You're ready for action. Get ready to lock and overload.
Systems restart.
Those bigots like me change the patch you up.
The end has come. Just for you.
My good deed for the day. Bring the bad guys. Idiots. You're welcome.
My thanks. System restored.
Render me assistance. Who needs a power up? My good deed for the day. I'll patch you up.
Good medicine.
Who is behind you, my ally? Armor patch here. Pay up.
Feeling stronger already.
Sound the retreat.
You're ready for action.
Us against the world! Their forces outnumber ours. A disappearing act.
Ah, you ain't got rid of me yet. Armor patch here. Pay up.
Our enemies are near.
Why, we stopped fire mode!
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
You're welcome.
I am strengthened for battle.
Magneto!
Oh, I'm not gonna make it easy. I'll patch you up.
The perfect...
Loki gone? Surely he'll be back.
They go behind you! Hold still, I'm trying to help.
You're welcome.
I am
This
strengthened
is a
for
nice
battle.
spot. Get ready to lock hands.
Better stop that vehicle.
See, I'm fucking helpful.
That's better.
I'll patch you up.
Dish it out. I can take it.
Hell unleashed! You're ready for action. Welcome to the dark.
I still need you.
Oh, I'm fine. Don't mind me.
I'll get you next time.
Good medicine.
When I said no more mutants, I meant you. Ah, that's better.
You're ready for action.
You stop them in their tracks.
They are in front of us. Observe. I'll patch you up.
Bless the healing arts. I am strengthened for battle.
Ready for a... This is real firepower!
Us against the world!
Assemble! See, I'm fucking helpful.
I'm an easy target.
You're welcome.
Assistance.
Feeling stronger already.
My good deed for the day.
Only 60 seconds left.
Ready for action. This is a nice spot.
You stop them in their tracks.
Good medicine. On my way. Retreat immediately.
I'll patch you up.
Feeling better now. Thanks.
Stand down! Wait, that's me. Again! Follow the enemy! Someone scratch my back!
30 seconds.
You're ready for action.
We're almost there. Don't give up.
Wreak your creative destruction here.
The final 10 seconds!
You're welcome.
That's me.
Final score 3, 2, 1. Another epic victory! Big win! Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging.
Be wary. No timeline exists where Magneto yields. Charles dreamed of a safe haven for all mutants. At last, I have made it a reality.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
There is great chaos in you, woman. Chaos and darkness.
You're one to talk, Venom.
It was not an insult. We find it strangely attractive.
Somehow you just made me want to save the universe.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Gods live here. Actual gods. Amazing. This is gonna hurt. You know what to do, spiders? I'm running cold.
Much better.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
Magic and magnetism. Magnificent. I must restore my power.
I cleared the spiders.
Insignificant mass.
We captured the mission area.
Target. I shall not be removed so easily. We hunger. Magic and magnetism. Magnificent.
I am ready to put on a show. It's time! Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway point. You owe me one.
Magic and magnetism. Magnificent.
Seems Krakoa is in good hands, Magneto.
Control seized.
By command to the slaughter.
We got it. I found one of our critics. Come here and let me help. Let's take a step back.
I feel like myself again.
Track this enemy.
The perfect conduit for your chaos.
Defend.
Me. Rebirth
almost got
is
it!
a mutant's greatest gift. The perfect conduit for your chaos.
A nice deep freeze.
Maximum pulse!
I am ready to put on a show.
You cannot hurt me.
Flying in place.
Our past was mired in loss and grief, but the future belongs to mutant kind.
"30 seconds before you attack. Get ready."
Wanda, 'tis a pleasure to see you, my dear.
I wish I could say the same, Father.
You may not be a true mutant, but you'll always be welcome on Krakoa.
Thank you for the invite, but I think I will pass.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
We guard the galaxy, sure. But sometimes we take stuff other people are guarding.
Hey, it's me, Squirrel Girl.
This is a nice spot. You're welcome. Ow! That's fucking hurt!
Good medicine.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now. Capture the mission area!
Hope I can return the favor sometime.
Leave them to Khonshu! My good deed for the day.
That last acorn's a doozy. Honestly, Raccoon shouldn't carry guns. Oh,
You're welcome.
Control seized!
How refreshing. Yeah. I'll patch you up.
I appreciate
Strange
you.
little spider.
It's spider time!
My good deed for the day. Yeah. You're welcome. Don't mind me. Leave them to This is real firepower! I'll pass you up about your amplifier, Rocket.
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
I unleash.
I am ready to put on a show!
Ooh, a touch of feeling.
I'm back!
Protect what is rightfully ours.
Armed and dangerous!
The area's Control lost!
I'll patch you up.
Timely intervention.
That is much better.
I'll patch you up. Armor patch here. Hey,
Hunt fabric.
Ooh, I catch a feeling. Ew, fighter robot.
This is real firepower! You're ready for action!
Past the halfway point.
Oh, I'm gonna get some revenge.
The eye begins to awaken.
Armor patch here!
Leave them to Khonshu!
Might. You're ready?
It's fighter time! They've almost got it! My friends are here! I am ready to put on a show! We'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
You're ready for action!
Tibido spotted bad guy.
Someone scratch my back!
I unleash the Shanti's power.
This is real firepower!
Control seized.
This is a nice spot! Ping the bad guy! Go!
Ooh, I catch
You're
a
ready for action!
The squirrels get the win? Really?
Ping the bad guy! Might. I'm a good guy who occasionally takes stuff that doesn't belong to him.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Did you bring your squirrely little pals?
I mean, have you met me? Dibbito, meet Moon Knight.
I don't speak squirrel.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Watch this spot.
Leave your real Khonshu. I'll make sure they regret that.
A shortcut through space.
You're welcome.
I am strengthened.
This is a nice spot.
I'll get you
Don't mind me. I'm just dying.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now. It's fighter time! I'm ready to put on a show.
Much to bring crashing down.
Spiders all gone.
My friends are here!
This is real firepower!
Honestly, Raccoon shouldn't carry guns.
Get up.
In my
I'm
opinion.
not.
I'll patch you up.
Control seized!
The eye is almost ready. Enemy in front of us.
Fall back and regroup.
You're ready for action.
Strong again.
unleash the Bashanti's power!
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
I'll patch you up. Team play. That's me.
Leave them to crush you!
Did you see that green
Good
ape?
medicine.
I want one.
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
I'm walking helpful. Light in the darkness.
I attacked a foe.
I'll patch you up.
Judge! Jury! Executioner!
I appreciate you.
Someone scratch my back. Relay deployed. It ain't cheap. You're ready? This is real firepower. This is real firepower.
Time! Control lost.
Oh, I'm not gonna make it easy.
Fall back and regroup.
Light.
Leave them to Khonshu!
Their team's capture progress has passed the halfway point.
I'll get you next time.
Ready for action.
I unleash the Bashanti's power!
You're welcome.
So cold.
Light.
They've almost got it. My friends are here.
See, I'm walking helpful.
Ooh, a touch of healing.
I'll patch you up. This is real firepower. This is real.
You've got a chance. You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Oh, I'm gonna get you revenge. You're ready for action.
Judge! Jury! Executioner! Leave them to Khonshu!
I'll get you next time.
Control C.
You're ready for action. Lower power. Need healing.
Another epic victory. Big win. Which hero do you think you want to be today?
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
Now, who am I gonna banish from this match? Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging.
Do the right thing unless the wrong thing is more fun.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Ah, my dear sweet Susan Storm.
Relay deployed. It ain't cheap.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Nani, you expect me to help her? Please.
Time to drain.
Armor patch here. Hey, how refreshing. You're welcome. Someone scratch my back.
There's one ugly backup badge anymore. Thanks so much.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
Team play. That's me.
Systems restoring.
You're welcome.
The mission area is yours.
Armor patch here. Pay up.
Love battlefield medicine.
I'll patch you up.
I am Groot.
Here they are. I am the fools. The power of the moon.
You're ready for action.
Us against the world.
This is real firepower! You're ready for action!
Powering up.
I could deed for the day. Don't mind me. I'm just dying.
I was worried.
You're welcome.
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
See? I'm flarking helpful.
Attack them here.
Without a doubt.
This is where we need to attack.
Hey, heads up! Portal!
By the eye of Almighty!
Those guys are about to shoot at us.
Again!
Too many
Again! Again! This should help me
Control lost.
I'm back!
I am Groot.
Don't mind me. I'm just dying. You're ready for action.
Refreshing.
A nice deep freeze.
This is a nice spot. You're ready for action. Behold! Exile! Flarkin' helpful.
You know what to do? Powering up. I like the disappear.
Things are
Your
gonna be.
team's capture progress has passed the halfway point.
You're ready for action.
I am Groot.
This is real firepower!
Armed and dangerous! Again! Again!
They've almost got it!
Rockets launching again! You're welcome!
By the eye of Agamotto!
I like the cold. You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Twigs all relay deployed! It ain't cheap!
Control seized.
You're ready for action! Aw, the twigs all grown up.
Succumb to the ocean's might. Time to leave.
We guard the galaxy, sure. But sometimes we take stuff other people are guarding.
You know, 30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
I am Groot.
No, I don't know what the time stream entanglement is.
I am Groot.
Yeah, as soon as the Brain Trust builds the other gizmo, we'll all get to go back home.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
We can pull it off. I've been in worse gangs.
You're up, little ones.
This is where we need to attack.
Those guys are about to shoot. I'll patch you up. Relay deployed. It ain't cheap.
I'm hurt.
This is real firepower!
Almost didn't make it again.
Looks like the mission area is
Armed
now.
and dangerous!
It's the grand finale.
Assemble!
How refreshing. That fucking hurt. I'll patch you up.
By the eye of Agamotto!
Disappear! Capture the mission area!
There they are.
Rockets launching again. You're welcome. I'll patch you up.
I like the cold.
Lead them to crush.
That's me.
How refreshing.
Go down. That fucking hurt.
I was worried.
This is a nice
Found one
spot.
of our critics.
You're welcome.
Control seized!
I like the cold.
We did it, Spider!
Go, girl. Good boy.
On your toes. You're ready for action.
Critics. Us against the world.
This is real firepower!
Armed and dangerous!
Control lost! Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway
Deep freeze.
That fucking hurt!
It's the grand finale.
Disappear!
Assemble!
By the eye of Agamotto!
Got it!
Things are gonna be different this time. You're ready for action! Needed that, thanks. We guard the galaxy, sure. But sometimes we take stuff other people are guarding. Hup. Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
No, I don't know what the time stream entanglement is.
I am Groot.
Yeah, as soon as the Brain Trust builds the other gizmo, we'll all get to go back home.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I've
So
tagged a
there are
potential
two dudes,
hotspot.
huh? Sounds like overpopulation.
Incoming!
I'll patch you up. This is a nice spot.
Behold! That child!
Deploy another beacon.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
Fire from behind. Watch out. Alright, that feels better.
We captured the mission area!
Team play. That's me. You're welcome.
Much better.
This is real firepower!
Disappear!
You're ready for action.
It's much better. I'll get you next time.
Leave them to crush you!
You're welcome.
A little help,
Aw,
please.
the twig's all grown up.
I'm an easy target.
My good deed for the day.
Your team's capture progress has passed waypoint. Control C's!
Armor patch here.
Here could
Hey,
cause massive destruction.
I'll patch you up.
Wait, that tree was real?
Yeah. Ready for a boost?
Feeling fantastic.
You're welcome.
Losing is not an option. They're coming up.
Assemble!
By the eye of Agamotto!
Oh, I'm
Control
gonna
lost.
get some revenge.
Welcome to the Dark Force dimension. I'll be back in action soon.
This is a nice spot.
Here's the spot.
Back from the brick, baby.
Fire from behind. Watch out.
Invisible?
You're welcome.
They almost got it!
Against the world! Behold!
respect here. Pay up.
Even small victories are worth celebrating.
You're welcome.
You captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
Vortex field. Help. A little help, please.
You're ready for action. Ow! That fucking hurt.
By the eye of Agamotto!
You're welcome.
Feeling fantastic.
Against the road.
For the day.
Assemble! Armed and dangerous!
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Grace us with victory!
They will strike, and I suspect it will be soon. Pentagram of Corella.
Control lost. They got behind Scope still. I'm trying to help. Shields up.
I don't fear
A little help, please.
By the eye of Agamotto!
Us against the world.
Behold! That's
A little help, please. Well, you can't expect to win them all.
See, True Skill aimed to quickly estimate a player's skill and then matched him up with others of similar ability, making the matches a bit more balanced. Throughout 2000s and 2010s, a lot of competitive games like League of Legends, Dota 2 adopted such skill-based matchmaking systems. By the way, this skill-based matchmaking thing is just, we're going to call it SBMM because that abbreviation is going to show up a lot later in the video, so just remember it. Skill-based matchmaking. Say it with me. And now this SBMM, it led to this matchmaking rating, or it was often tied to it, which is MMR, which is probably something you're familiar with. And that rises with your wins and losses, your MMR. Right? Got me? Skill-based matchmaking, it takes MMR, they do this, or maybe this, and then you got True Skill. That's basically what it was. Story time! Picture a 2007 Halo 3 lobby back in the peak of delicious racism. The game's SBMM quietly crunches numbers like a coach figuring out which players to let play. So, if you're a sharpshooter in the last games and you had perfect aim and you just killed everybody, the system is then going to bump up your invisible skill number a bit, and then next match, it's going to try to seat you at the table with players of comparable aim. And the goal of all of that was really simple, just fair fights. So, at its core, SBMM treated matchmaking like a chess tournament. So you're going to match grandmasters with grandmasters, and you're going to match novices with novices. Pretty simple. But as online gaming grew and expanded, a new question came up. What if fair fights are not the only goal? So naturally, game companies started to notice something. Player retention, how long you keep playing, is a fragile thing. And it kind of makes sense. A perfectly fair system might inadvertently cause some players to quit. So then, of course, developers started to wonder, could matchmaking be tuned not just for fairness, but to keep players engaged? See, this led to the rise of engagement-optimized matchmaking, which was the natural evolution from SBMM to this, or EOMM, engagement-optimized matchmaking. See, in 2017, a team at Electronic Arts published a paper titled EOMM, Engagement Optimized Matchmaking Framework. It was really a watershed moment. The paper suggested that perfectly fair matches are not always the best for keeping players hooked. Instead of only using skill, the EOMM framework added new ingredients to the matchmaking recipe. The first one was churn probability. This is an estimate of how likely you are to quit playing if you have a bad or good experience. The second one were dynamic adjustments. So the system could even change its objective, which is nuts. The researchers then noted that they could retune the matchmaking goal to maximize other goals, like playtime, retention, or even spending, which is when it gets real creepy. To dumb this down a little bit so it's a little bit easier to digest, EOMM was basically matchmaking meeting data science for the first time ever. So here's how I like thinking about it. I imagine the matchmaking system as a casino dealer who doesn't just deal cards randomly, but also keeps an eye on every player's move. So if, for example, you're getting upset and you might leave the table, the dealer then might just tweak the next round in your favor a little bit, not enough to be obvious, but enough to keep you in the game. Or if you're winning too much and you're starting to get bored, maybe the next round he gives you a bit more time. So it's not, I don't think it's outright cheating. The cards are still, dealt from the same deck, but the order of the cards might be influenced by another motive to keep the game going. That's kind of what's going on here. So around the same time, other gaming giants are starting to wake up and are starting to explore very similar ideas. In fact, Activision, they made Call of Duty, filed a patent for a matchmaking system that could encourage microtransactions by pairing players strategically. Wow. It sounds like Activision, to be honest. So here's how it worked. For example, they'll be matching a newbie with a veteran who has a bunch of premium cool gear, and then hope that the newbie is going to be enticed to buy that gear. What the fuck? The industry clearly was interested in matchmaking as more than just fair competition. It was becoming a tool to drive player behavior. Enter Marvel Rivals. See, the game is still very, very young. As of the making of this video, we're in Season 1, so it's still a baby. And the game came onto the scene a few months ago with really fun hero battles, a great IP, fantastic animations and sound design, and this promise of a really fun competitive team play. But behind the Marvel heroes is a developer with a very research-oriented approach to matchmaking, and that's NetEase. Their involvement is really crucial because they have been at the forefront of implementing engagement-based matchmaking systems in their games, guided by research like OptMatch and NMatch, which we're going to talk about in a second. Now, let's break down what I already know and suspect about Marvel Rivals' matchmaking. The very first thing is that Marvel Rivals does not appear to have a traditional, pure SBMM where only skill matters. Instead, a lot of evidence suggests that it uses a system influenced by EOMM principles. Potentially, it's an in-house variant that they call OptMatch. Then, the goal of such a system is just to balance matches in a way that optimizes and maximizes player satisfaction and engagement, not just skill parity, which is very different. Next, we're about to get nerdy, and I really like learning about these things, but we're going to talk about kind of the science behind the scenes. EOMM, OptMatch, and things like NMatch. They'll become clear as I talk. So, to roll the tape back a bit, in August 2020, NetEase researchers published OptMatch, optimizing matchmaking via modeling the high-order interactions on the arena. What this was essentially an engagement-oriented matchmaking system, but with a really interesting twist. It still valued fair, close games as a route to happy players, but OptMatch also introduced a two-phase approach. Number one was offline learning. So what it does is that it analyzes a ton of game data to understand things like composition and player performance, things like that. The paper then describes features like Hero 2Vec and Player 2Vec, basically learning the characteristics of heroes and players. So things like who works well with whom, which heroes synergize, so Iron Man amplifying Hulk, or one character covering another one's weakness, you know. Also, it thinks about how does this player usually perform and what heroes are they best with. So that's the first one. The second one is online matchmaking planning. So with all of this knowledge, when you hit find match, the system isn't just, you know, randomly throwing 6 players into 2 teams and calling it a day. No, it's thinking. It's evaluating like thousands of possible team combinations among players of pretty much the same level. So it's as if the matchmaking is playing like a giant game of Tetris, fitting different pieces together, which are actually the players, into 2 balanced teams. Yeah, it uses a utility function, which is essentially a score for how satisfying a matchup is predicted to be for each player, and then tries to maximize that. If putting you and player B on the same team, let's say because your favorite heroes complement each other or something, leads to a higher satisfaction score, the system leans that way. However, if grouping, I'll just give you a bad example, if grouping too many tanks or too many supports of the same role makes the team worse, then it's going to avoid that. So OptMatch's philosophy in 2020 was still fair matches equals happy players. At this stage, it wasn't rigging outcomes. It was trying to make matches as fair and as fun as possible by really smartly considering hero dynamics and player playstyle, which I think is pretty cool. I'll give you a metaphor here to help you digest this a bit more. It's like a sports coach who not only matches teams by skill, but also thinks, okay, this team has all strikers and no goalkeepers, so that's going to be pointless and not fun, so let's swap it around a bit to balance roles. However, later developments show that NetEase didn't just stop there. By December 2020, the same researchers put out a GitHub simulation testing different matchmaking algorithms, including EOMM. It's way too nerdy, it didn't make any sense, but it was pretty cool to see. So at a Game Developers Conference in 2021, or GDC, NetEase detailed how they started integrating this churn prediction and player streaks into the equation, and this is where things get intriguing and kind of controversial. So they introduced this concept of player utility that included not just fairness, but also match duration, queue time, and recent win-loss streaks. For example, if you've been on a losing streak, the system is going to take that into account. Your utility, for example, how happy you'll be in the next match, might be lower because you're frustrated. So it's just going to compute all of that. Then the matchmaking might respond by trying to give you a better experience the next round to keep your spirits up. More specifically, that could mean aiming for a match that's predicted to be close and exciting, or ensuring to get you into the game quicker, or, you know, maybe balancing the teams in such a way that you have a fair shot despite recent losses. In that GDC talk, one slide specifically contained a really interesting line: give tiny advantages to the desperate or fatigued players during matchmaking if possible. For example, choose the win rate of 51% instead of 49% matchmaking proposals for those players. This basically implies that if the system has a choice between 2 possible matchups, one where it predicts you have a 49% chance to win, and one where it predicts you have a 51% chance to win, and you've been on a rough losing streak, so by their definition, you're maybe just desperate or fatigued, it will gently nudge you towards the 51% scenario. In other words, it's becoming a slight kind of hidden handicap in your favor just to help you out. On the flip side, it also made me think, what about winning streaks? So the research doesn't really explicitly say give disadvantages to players on winning streaks. However, if the system is always nudging losing streak players upward, then, the logical consequence is that if you are on a winning streak, you might lose that gentle nudge. Makes sense, right? So you're essentially left to face the full force of competition, or maybe even, given a slightly tougher matchup if others are being boosted. And this could naturally result in your streak coming to an end sooner or later, not because the game hates you, but because it just stops giving you training wheels. So NetEase continued to refine this approach time and time again. In a 2024 paper, they very frankly state that the traditional fair matchmaking, the SBMM thing, dividing players strictly by skill tiers, is not always good for player engagement. They cite a couple of prior works like the 2017 EOMM paper that we talked about earlier, which showed that just focusing on fair matches isn't sufficient for keeping players hooked. This new approach doubled down on engagement. Mix it up to maximize fun and retention is the general strategy. One analogy that was given by a NetEase researcher was, even if you have 12 players of similar skill, you don't always make two teams of equal skill. Maybe, you mix high skill and low skill players on each side in some scenarios, if that pattern leads to better overall engagement. But they found that a bit of variety, occasionally playing with or against someone notably better or notably worse than you, could keep things interesting. So maybe perhaps that underdog upset, or, you face someone really good and you're learning from a really skilled teammate or opponent. Maybe those things make the sessions a bit more memorable and enjoyable. So Rivals' matchmaking is born from this lineage of research, which I thought is kind of cool. First of all, it likely groups players by their general skill brackets. So a beginner is not going to get matched directly against some top-tier veteran in a normal scenario. That just would be unfair. The second thing is, within that broad skill group, it's going to consider a variety of factors. So things like team composition, predicted fairness, and probably your recent performances and engagement metrics too. Also, it might occasionally, and this happened to me, create matches where one team has a carry player, like a star player, and the other team doesn't. And then it balances that by giving the star player weaker teammates and the other team solid mid-level players. And it tries to keep your win rate around a pretty moderate level. And it's not doing that by forcing outcomes. I don't think it can, but by dynamically adjusting the challenges that you face. A consistently winning player will be moved up against stronger opposition, or maybe even given less backup, while a struggling player might catch a break with easier opposition or maybe some more support. So over many games, this feels like some invisible hand that is ensuring that most players hover roughly around 50% wins. So in the Marvel Rivals community, a common refrain that you hear is, the matchmaking's rigged. But what do players really mean by that, and why do they feel it, is what I was wondering constantly. So I went out and I went to forums, typically from Steam and Reddit and other places, and just read through threads, and here's what people say. The first one is that 50-50 win rate feeling. Players like you and me often notice that just no matter how well you play, your win rate just tends to gravitate around 50%. So for every hot streak where they just won a bunch of games, a cold streak follows. And it's this feeling that it's almost looming, right? You're playing, you're killing it, it's going great, and you're like, crap, something's coming. The players have voiced that the system seems to kind of give you wins and then suddenly throw you into guaranteed losses, creating a really strong oscillating pattern. And in different forums, some of the players claim that the game tries to satisfy everyone with a 48 to 52% win-loss ratio, regardless of whether you're a noob or a pro. It can certainly feel that way, and I know we've all been there. You dominate a few rounds in a few matches, and then the next matches, your team is just mysteriously uncoordinated, or the other guys are just murderers. So it feels, it's as if the game is just a rubber band. You stretch too far ahead in wins, and then it just snaps you back with defeats. From a player's perspective, this can be really infuriating. Like, why is the game punishing me for winning? So in a traditional SBMM system, consistent wins would simply mean that you climb to a higher skill bracket. So you'd be facing tougher opponents. Also, ideally, your teammates would also be of higher skill too. However, if Marvel Rivals is indeed using engagement-optimized matchmaking, it's not just sliding you up and down a skill ladder, it might be actively orchestrating the challenge level to keep you in that sweet spot of engagement that it's looking for. To a competitor, this feels like just some arbitrary ceiling on their success, hence the feeling of a rigged system ensuring you don't win too much. The second one is, being the team MVP on a losing match. This gripe is interesting. Why do I always get the bad teammates? Is a question a lot of people answer. Well, players who consistently perform well, say, somebody who's 500 or someone that's just good, but still lose matches, really are starting to suspect that the matchmaking is giving them weaker teammates on purpose. You might have a game where you go 15-2, with Cap. It's hard to do with Cap. But two of your teammates just barely contribute and are basically throwing. It's completely natural to wonder, was I just placed with weaker players intentionally? Some Rivals fans believe exactly that. That the game, knowing that you're strong, is going to pair you with a couple of weaker folks just to balance the team's overall power. And maybe even, perhaps give those weaker players a chance to be carried to a close match. All of this ties back to the research idea of mixing skill levels on a team for engagement. While I do agree that this can create some pretty exciting comeback stories, and it certainly has for me, it does also mean that as a skilled player, you're sometimes essentially handicapped by your team because of how matchmaking works. And that can definitely feel like the system is rigged against you. One Reddit user, Riley, noted that the matchmaking creates a full profile of your account and attempts to match you with teammates that synergize or don't based on how it wants to push your games. So that Instalock 215 Spider-Man on your team isn't just random chance. In other words, players suspect that the algorithm might sometimes deliberately give you a teammate who picks a hero they're terrible at, so that's Spider-Man who gets 2 kills and dies 15 times, in order to create a particular match outcome or experience. I know, it sounds a little bit conspiratorial, but given the complexity of the system, players are just connecting the dots in ways that seem plausible to them. Next is one of my favorite terminologies, the loser's queue and forced losses. Beyond just statistical balancing, some players go further and suggest that there's a loser's queue. And that's basically a hidden state where you enter after a certain number of wins, where the game ensures you lose the next one or two. So they'll recount anecdotes like, I won 5 games in a row, and then suddenly I got 3 matches in a row with AFK teammates or complete beginners on my team. I could practically predict I was due for a loss. That's literally what he said. So it's really hard to prove such patterns as anything more than anecdotal, but the perception is very powerful, and I see that. The community's trust is eroding here and there, and every tough loss becomes, well, not a learning moment, it should be a learning moment, but it starts to become this evidence for rigging. Rivals' EOMM system is very often accused of manipulating streaks on purpose. One specific player described it as a psychological tug of war, which I thought was nicely dramatic, where the game just gives you the high of a winning streak and then yanks it away. This claim, unfortunately, does align with what we discussed earlier. To keep players hooked, the system might orchestrate some ups and downs, right? That's what we talked about. However, players understandably feel that a loss isn't fair if it was engineered in any way. If you believe that you're losing a match and that was predestined by the algorithm's unseen hand, that's essentially the definition of rigging in a competitive context, and that's what people think. Another one that I was glad to see, which is the first thing that came to mind with all this stuff, was the lack of transparency, or basically the black box effect. So part of what fuels the rigged narrative here is that the matchmaking system is a black box. The game in no way tells you how it decides teams. There's no official readout of your MMR or how it pairs you, nothing. So when humans don't have an explanation, we tend to fill in the blanks. If you lose a match, it's felt unfair, it's way easier to blame the unseen algorithm than to chalk it up to just random chance, personal mistakes, or just a skill issue. Especially when you see patterns over dozens of matches, your brain looks for a reason. Players also talk to each other, you know, and I see it even in chat. They're sharing stories of bizarre matches, suspicious patterns, and, you know, kind of half-remembered quotes from dev interviews or leaked code. So in Rivals' case, the existence of these actual research papers by the developers is like pouring gasoline on the fire. It's pretty rare, to be honest, that players have such direct hints at what might be going on behind the scenes. I know for me, I've never really had access to research papers that explain something about an online competitive game I'm playing, and that's the product of this video as well. So when they read things or a line in the paper like, fair games are not sufficient to ensure player engagement from NetEase's own paper, yeah, it's super easy to jump to conclusions. Aha! They don't care about fair matches at all. They only care about engagement. They'll do whatever it takes to make us play more, even if it means rigging games, you bastards. The emotional toll is notable. I mean, it feels personal sometimes. Games are emotional experiences. I would even argue that Rivals is even more of an emotional experience because there's a team involved. And there's this accountability or lack thereof. There's this thing where people are delusional and you don't want to accept your own mistakes, so you look to others. It's like a tiny little society. It's very interesting, but when you lose because you got outplayed, it stings. It sucks. But you can accept it and try to improve. But when you lose and feel helpless, like nothing you could have done would change the outcome, then it breeds frustration and conspiracy. So Rivals players have expressed that EOMM undermines the core satisfaction of improving as a player. And that's a quote, by the way. Undermines the core satisfaction of improving as a player, making success or failure feel disconnected from your skill. It's a pretty strong psychological blow, you know? If practice and skill building don't guarantee better results, you know, because the matchmaking will just throw a wrench in it, then why try at all? I'm spending time in aim trainers and in the practice mode. What's that practice mode for if I'm just gonna lose if the game makes it? You know, this perceived lack of player agency drives people to conclude that the system is fundamentally unfair. It's not just that one match was off. It's the idea that the entire ladder is a lie. You're not truly in control of your rank because the game is just pulling strings in the background. And that's even a more sensitive issue when people try to rank. You know, when you're trying to actually get better at the game and earn certain rewards, then it starts to get a little controversial. So all of these perceptions start to create a really powerful narrative that Marvel Rivals' matchmaking is rigged, which I'm not sure if I would use that word, but that's what people feel. It's important to note here that, you know, not every player feels this way. Some climb the ranks and feel the only thing stopping them is the next skill hurdle. And that's a fantastic mindset to have. And if you have that, congratulations. But the fact that enough players share the rigged perception means that it's a real community issue that I thought was worth investigating, which is why I'm making this video. Now let's peek behind the accusations. You know, how does Marvel Rivals' matchmaking actually work? Let's pose the big question. Are these rigging claims true? What does the evidence say about Marvel Rivals' matchmaking mechanics and their effects? Let's analyze this point by point, comparing player claims with what we know from research and data. The first claim, as you remember, was that the system forces a 50% win rate for everyone. So it's not literally forcing a precise 50% on everyone. Some players do maintain higher win rates, especially in team games where you can party up with your friends and communicate directly and practice together, or some players are just amazing at their characters, right? And they're just very talented. However, this engagement optimized design does tend to nudge everyone towards the middle. So the EOMM logic from the EA paper, and some other ones as well, explicitly tries to avoid long losing or winning streaks because those can reduce engagement. If Marvel Rivals indeed uses that logic, then over time, most players will experience roughly equal wins and losses by design. Not because the game predetermines each match outcome, but because if you start deviating too high or too low, the matchmaking adapts. It's just going to snap you back to the middle. Win a lot, and as a result, you're going to be facing tougher matchups. You're going to have, stronger opponents, maybe even less favorable team comps until you lose. Or lose a lot, and you're going to get easier matchups, so weaker opponents, strong ally, or even bots inserted to help until you win. So it's basically a rubber band effect. And I talked about it earlier, but racing games like Mario Kart famously give the leading racer weaker power-ups and the trailing racer powerful boosts, like the fucking blue shells, just to keep the races close and unpredictable. So Marvel Rivals' matchmaking appears to be doing a kind of a similar thing, but with how it forms its matches. This doesn't mean that every player is exactly at 50%, of course, we know that. Highly skilled players can still maintain a very positive win rate over hundreds of games, and very new players might be below the 50% as they learn. But the system's intent is to keep you around an equilibrium where you win about as much as you lose, therefore preserving that kind of tension and the drive to play just one more match, which Marvel Rivals has that in spades. So there is some truth to this claim, but calling it forced might be too strong. It's just probabilistic adjustment, not a guarantee, One community analysis even pointed out that nowhere in the available research was there a statement that one team will always get an advantage over the other, or that the outcomes are pre-decided. So the matches themselves aren't fixed. You always have a chance to win. It's just that the conditions are tuned to make those chances hover over the 50-50 for most players. The second claim was that matchmaking gives me bad teammates on purpose to make me lose. So this one's really tricky. If we interpret bad as in lower skilled teammates, if we agree on that, the research does suggest that this does happen occasionally by design. End match findings show that a team composition of mixed skill, so what that means is one high skill and two low skill in a 3v3 team, for example, can improve overall engagement versus all players being of equal skill. Yeah, the algorithm might sometimes pair a strong player with weak ones. That can happen. However, it's not as simple as to make you lose. In theory, those matches are still intended to be winnable. The other team might also have a mix. Maybe one medium-sized anchor instead of a high-skilled star, but all pretty decent. The purpose here, the aim, is that the match is close. That's it. The danger is that if you, as a high-skilled player, don't perform exceptionally well or to the standard that the game expects you to, then you might indeed lose and then just feel held back by your allies. And what about the extreme case, like deliberately griefing you with team members who are far below your skill? Well, regular ranked play probably won't put a top tier and bottom tier player together often because of the initial grouping by skill. It's probably not going to happen, but in edge case scenarios, or if the population is low at your skill level, and that leads to kind of wider searches, you might see it. So also, if the system thinks that you're likely to carry and still have a fair match, it might gamble on a wider skill gap team. So then it can happen as well. But most importantly, there's no evidence whatsoever that the system identifies a specific player to punish and then assigns bad teammates out of spite. It's not like that. It's more systemic. It just treats everyone as part of the big engagement equation. So you might get bad teammates in one match and then be the bad teammate in another match, and then it all kind of balances out. So one thing that I thought really debunks the more paranoid version of this claim is that the truly horrible mismatches would ruin engagement, not improve it. If Marvel Rivals put a newbie on your high-ranked team, that newbie would be miserable. They're gonna crush him, they're gonna go after him, he'll be angry, might throw, you'll be angry at them. That's a lose-lose scenario for the purpose of boosting engagement and enjoyment of the game. In other words, it would create churn, which is something that these algorithms do take into account and try to avoid at any cost. So the more likely scenario here, I think, is that you just get teammates slightly below your level paired against opponents slightly above your team's average, and then if that's done right, the match could still be balanced. So from your POV, you notice that your allies are making more mistakes than you, and it just feels unfair. I think that's what's going on. The third claim is that the game secretly adjusts gameplay, so damage, hitboxes, etc., or uses bots to influence outcomes. Okay, this one is a bit wacky, but this is a deeper conspiracy floating around that I've seen. So some players speculated some crazy things, like the game might dynamically nerf your damage output if you're on a winning streak, or expand an enemy's hitbox to ensure you miss. Essentially, kind of invisible handicaps beyond just team composition. One person said that that's why they don't have the damage numbers, so we can't tell. So, as of now, there's zero concrete evidence for such kind of real-time, in-match rigging. That would be far more akin to actual match fixing, and probably detectable if somebody records and analyzes gameplay data. I've just never bothered to do that. All indications from the research papers that I read are that the rigging, if any, happens is kind of at the matchmaking stage, not within the match. And I'm even careful to call it rigging, but you know what I mean. So the game isn't altering your bullets or your hero's health on the fly under the guise of matchmaking. It would be a technical, and I also think ethical can of worms for the developers to do that. As for bots, you know, Marvel Rivals, like many games, does use bots in some modes, or just a backfill if a human player isn't available. So that makes sense. Like, the allegation is that after a string of losses, you might be placed into a match where one or two of your teammates are actually AI bots disguised as, you know, player-like names, who are tuned to play well with you or let you shine, thereby, you know, boosting your morale or something. So in community discussions, some claim to have noticed patterns like teammates that behave oddly or too predictably, and suspect that they're bots put there to help them out. The developers have not confirmed this. If true, it would be an extreme form of engagement optimization, like literally rigging a win for you by using dummy players, right? So it's plausible in theory. You know, single player games tend to adjust difficulty all the time, but here it would be like adding an NPC on your team to just tilt the odds. Whatever, but without official word or data, we should just take this claim with a grain of salt. It's a little crazy. The next claim was engagement optimized means that the game cares more about profit than players. This is more of a sentiment and a feeling rather than a factual claim, but it does underpin the rigging narrative. So players feel that if the goal isn't pure competition, then the developers must be manipulating matches to make money. For example, by keeping you to play longer, so maybe you spend on a cool skin, or just frustrating you enough to just, hey, maybe if I buy a new skin, I'll play better. I don't know. There's some truth to, you know, that engagement often correlates with revenue in free-to-play games. If you play longer, there are more chances and opportunities for you to just buy something. And, you know, we saw that in the EA paper, they outright mentioned possibly tuning matchmaking for spending metrics. Who knows? Maybe they're doing it here. I don't know. But let's be objective. Engagement doesn't only benefit the company. It can also benefit the player too, in terms of having more people to play with. You know, a game that retains players well is alive and fun. The community is great. A game that is brutally fair but hemorrhages newbies might end up in a graveyard where only the hardcore remain. And I can tell you for sure, other games I play are games like Tekken, where it came off and started off with a lot of players, and now whoever's left are just the sweat lords. And it's a murder scene in there. So this is definitely true. The developers likely do want you to have fun, just enough fun and some ups and downs, you know, so that you can just keep coming back and having different emotional experiences. And I know it's a delicate balance. If they push too hard for profit and then make the experience unenjoyable, then it backfires and players leave. And we've seen that many times before. So while yes, the system is there in part to increase metrics that tie to profit, I don't think it's just a simple evil versus good scenario. They're trying to align what keeps you playing with what you enjoy, just with maybe a heavier hand than some would like. That's it. And they have to make money, right? Somehow. And the game is free, so I'd be okay with a little push towards profit. Another claim was that if I am stuck in the rank, it's the matchmaking's fault. Alright, so this is the classic Halo Hell argument heard in other games from, Overwatch all the way to League of Legends. Now echoed in Marvel Rivals. So the idea is that you might belong in a higher rank. Say you believe that you have the skill of a diamond player. But the matchmaking system's tricks keep you stuck in gold by throwing unwinnable games at you. Is it true? For a consistently excellent player, probably not in the long run. There's a YouTuber whose name is Awkward, and I think he's a former Overwatch guy, and he took Mantis on a 100% winning streak. I think he went all the way from bronze to GM over a 6-hour period. So obviously there's outliers for these things, but while engagement matchmaking can really slow down how quickly you climb, because it will feed you some losses even if you're good. As Awkward showed, if you genuinely outperform your peers significantly, you're gonna rise. So we see top players, they're able to reach the highest ranks in Marvel Rivals. We see it happen, not constantly, but pretty frequently. And they also deal with the same system, right? But just their skill carries them through the artificial hurdles that the game throws at them. On the other side, there's one high-level player that pointed out that they've seen top-tier players smurf, basically play on the accounts, and even they lose games in bronze on occasion. So it's normal variance. I think over a large sample, they will still climb. Like, they're great players. The engagement system doesn't really lock gold. It perhaps adds some extra zigzags to the path upward, but it doesn't lock gold. So if someone is truly hard stuck in a rank over hundreds of games, it's likely that their current skill level, as harsh as that may sound, and you may disagree, that's what's holding them back. The system might have given them a few more bad dice rolls than a purely random system would, but not an impenetrable wall. In fact, one commenter encouraged that you're not in bronze, silver, or gold because end match is rigging your games. You're in those ranks because you belong there. It's a tough love statement, I know, but statistically it's probable. The engagement-focused matchmaking can impact your experience of climbing, so making it, streakier or perhaps slower, but there's no evidence that it stops you from climbing entirely. And why would it? So, stepping back from the specific claims, let's weigh in what the matchmaking approach does well and where it falls. First, let's talk about the pros. The first one that I can identify is more exciting matches in theory. So by avoiding just complete stomps and long, monotonic streaks, the system strives to give you a mix of wins and losses that just keep the outcome of each session uncertain. Close matches, come from behind victories, and the occasional kind of nail biters are really fun. I feel that system on me. I remember my matches. I remember the close calls, and I remember the stomps occasionally, and I remember the feeling of coming back or the feeling of having it and losing it. That's still an experience. So a purely fair system can sometimes produce pretty boring, kind of predictable matches. Imagine always knowing you'll crush or be crushed with no in between. The engagement approach kind of injects a bit of the unexpected in there. So as one NetEase summary put it, it aims for patterns that improve player retention by keeping things diverse. Another really big pro for me is retention of new or casual players. So new or less skilled players are much less likely to be thrown into just a meat grinder of constant losses. I talked about Tekken 8 before. That's what it is. You cannot rank up. These motherfuckers have been playing that game for 30 years. You cannot. It's just impossible. So unless you're willing to put in that work or be super talented, you're screwed. You can't. If the system detects that they're at risk of quitting, so basically their churn probability is high, then it will try to give them a better experience. Maybe that one match where they get to be the hero or be really impactful, So that compassion towards the lower end of the skill curve typically means that more players stick around, which is healthy for the game population and it's healthy for the game. And it's just no fun for anyone if only the hardcore players remain and the queue times skyrocket. And I guess this is also why Marvel's has been able to maintain the player count it has pretty much since launch. So I see this as a really big thing, and I hope this never changes. I sort of talked about it already, but faster queue times is a big deal, man. With a really flexible system like that, then the matchmaking can sometimes relax some strict skill matching to get players into games faster. If the top priority was perfectly even skill, then higher ranked players might wait ages to find the exact match. Rivals' approach is willing to bend the rules a bit, kind of like mixing skill levels in a team, to reduce weight under the belief that playing is more fun than waiting. I tend to agree. And then the last pro that I can think of is it just encourages adaptability. So by sometimes putting players in uncomfortable situations, like off rolls or just carrying weaker teammates once you get good, it challenges them to adapt. For competitive folks, this can actually really foster skill growth in versatility and maybe even leadership. You might become a better player overall by learning to handle a variety of match conditions, not just fair fights. Hey, these guys are rushing to spawn. Should I just sit here and chat, or do I go and help? You know, little things like that can really help you out. So I'm a glass half full kind of person. I like to think of this as a positive. Now let's talk about the bad stuff. The first one I can think of is there's just this perceived lack of fairness. I talked about it but many players feel really cheated by this system, and I understand how that feeling comes about. Just the integrity of ranked competition really comes into question if the rules aren't consistent. So in a fair match, you'd say, may the best team win. In a heavily engagement-driven match, one could cynically say, may the algorithm decide. And that, I think, undercuts the competitive spirit. I'm not an amazing player. I'm new to these games, and I just hit platinum last night, so I'm very proud of myself. But rising to platinum and now facing the reality that I want to go to diamond and other ranks, knowing all of this is in my head, definitely undercuts it. The second one is a lot of high skill players are just frustrated or will get frustrated. So the best players will often want to test their skills in a pure environment. When they feel that the system is throwing them curveballs, like weak teammates or just some forced, weird probability scenarios, it's very frustrating. They don't want training wheels or artificial difficulty. They want their true skill to be the only factor. And I get that. Some are just gonna quit out of frustration or a sense that the game isn't rewarding their time. And we see this sentiment in Marvel Rivals a lot, with some skilled players announcing their departure due to the EOMM system. Then I can also think of just it's complex and it's unpredictable. So the system is so complex that even developers and data scientists struggle to perfectly tune it. That tells you something. That means it might make some mistakes, a lot of mistakes. So you could get matches that end up just horribly one-sided or bizarre outliers that slip through the algorithm's, testing. And when it does, players won't just see it as a one-off error. They'll potentially view it as proof of malicious rigging and then get really pissed. So the lack of transparency amplifies this. Players just don't know why a match was bad, so they just assume the worst. The last pawn I'll give you here is just the ethical and long-term issues it proposes. So if players feel manipulated, that erodes trust. And in the short term, they might keep playing the Skinner box effect, if anybody knows it, of variable rewards that can be pretty compelling sometimes. But in the long run, it can foster a lot of cynicism and burnout. So now we're in the honeymoon period. I don't know what it's going to look like in 6 months. So, a game can develop a reputation for being unfair or pay to win in some cases, even if money isn't directly involved. Kind of any whiff of trying to get engagement to monetization can really tarnish perception. So if Marvel Rivals is seen as too psychologically manipulative, it might drive away the exact dedicated community that was sustained for years. And I know, I've made Marvel Snap videos. Marvel Snap is a mobile card game that suffers from exactly that. If you want to kind of see a telltale case of that, and people leaving the game behind, me included, is making Rivals content now, and I don't cover Snap anymore. This is it, right there. Oh, hello, person that skipped the whole video just to get to this part. Anyway, So, what is the conclusion? Rigged or just reality? Well, the answer is both simpler and more complicated than the question implies. It's rigged in the same way that a theme park ride is rigged. The ups and downs and thrills of it are engineered. They're planned. It's just a bunch of metal. But the fun you're feeling and the puke that's coming out of your mouth, that's entirely real. So, in a just purely competitive sense, rigging suggests deceit. So it's the idea that the outcomes are preordained or that someone is pulling strings so that the matches aren't on the same level. Marvel Rivals' matchmaking isn't rigged in that overly nefarious way. No one is sitting at a control panel somewhere saying, "Give Nerfpool a loss, he's been kicking ass." That's not happening. There's no evidence of the game flat out choosing winners or tweaking your damage in real time to make you lose a fight. Come on, like, that's nuts. You can always, through skill and teamwork, locking in, good communication, just overcome the challenges that the system throws at you. Nothing is unwinnable or unwinnable by design in absolute terms. However, Marvel Rivals is for sure using a sophisticated matchmaking algorithm that has its own agenda. That is proven in the papers and also through the analysis that I've made in this video. So the agenda isn't purely to create fair, even contests. It's just to keep you playing and enjoying or at least be engaged with the game. That's it. And yeah, in the pursuit of that, it may at times feel like an invisible hand is orchestrating your rise and fall. You know, the system giveth and the system taketh away, and it doesn't even tell you when and it doesn't tell you why. So perhaps the truth is best seen as just a nuanced explanation rather than just a binary verdict. So Rivals' matchmaking lies in a gray zone, and here's why. It strives for balance, first of all, but not the traditional kind of balance we expect in competitive ranked play. It's just balancing engagement metrics with fairness. Also, it protects new or faltering players, which is arguably a really good thing, but in doing so, it might hold back really good players momentarily just to level things out. It also doesn't want you to leave angry or bored. But, ironically, that very effort can make people angry if they become aware of it. So, that's kind of dope. For casual players, this system can be really a blessing. It just smooths out the extremes and ensures that more games feel competitive. For competitive purists, it can feel like a curse. So, it's just this ever-present handicap system that kind of muddles the true display of skill. So in my investigator journey here, I saw that the idea of engagement-based matchmaking didn't just start with Marvel Rivals. It's part of a broader evolution in gaming, just from the early ELO days of chess to today's kind of machine learning-driven techniques. And Marvel Rivals is just one of the higher profile cases where the community spotted the man behind the curtain, so to speak, thanks in part to those research papers like the EOMM and OptMatch. Knowing about them has, kind of ironically, made players really suspicious. Transparency is a double-edged sword, man. If players don't like what they see, they start to lose trust. Marvel Rivals' matchmaking is just engineered, in a way. You know, not to guarantee specific outcomes, but just to shape an overall experience. And whether that crosses the line into feeling unfair is really a subjective topic, and it really varies player to player. So, in the end, we just must reflect on what we want from our games. If the answer is pure competition and merit-based progression, then Marvel Rivals' system is just going to feel antagonistic to that. Maybe even unacceptable for a lot of players. But if the answer is exciting matches and a healthy game community, then, you know, the system's goals start to make a lot of sense, even if the execution might need some tweaks. One thing is very clear to me is that the discussion Marvel Rivals has sparked will be important for the future of online games. It forces developers to consider how much they should prioritize engagement over transparency and fairness. And it does push players to ask how much algorithmic meddling they're comfortable with. And that's going to become more and more of a thing, especially with AI on the rise. So we almost have to get used to it. And As players, I think being informed is our best tool. Understanding the forces at play shows that we can adapt and just make our own choices. To play, to pause, or just to move to a different game if that aligns with our philosophy. And that was the purpose of this entire monstrosity of a video, is to inform, to help you see different perspectives of this matchmaking, to also nerd out a little bit. I think it's really cool that things have evolved to this extent, all the way from chess now to here, and I'm excited to see where it goes, because I do like that it's focused on shaping an experience that the developers intend. I just have some combating feelings with how healthy that is for competitive. But overall, it was incredibly fun for me to learn all of this. It was exhausting to make this and to research everything. So hopefully you appreciated it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how NetEase advances with this. And even though I don't want to look at a research paper again in the near future, I would be excited to see new developments around this topic, because I think it's genuinely kind of cool. So, the next time you find yourself in a baffling losing streak or an effortless win streak in Marvel Rivals, you'll know that it might not be mere luck of the draw. There's a system, shadows, a balancing and rebalancing of the scales. Rigged? Not exactly, but neither is it the level playing field we once imagined. It's something new. A battleground where human skill and machine strategy intersect. And in this new arena, the final judgment on whether that's right or wrong is up to each of you.
Avowed makes me roll my eyes every time I look at it, and unfortunately, the closer we're getting to the actual mainline release, I already know that things are going to become far more insufferable as time goes on. Avowed, in case you don't know, is in the same universe as the Pillars of Eternity games, which honestly, gotta admit, it is smart of Obsidian to pick a pre-established franchise they've already worked on to mold this game around. I would love to see a Baldur's Gate game made within the style of an Elder Scrolls-like game. But I think when it comes to Avowed, and that we as players seem to have won the battle of ideology here. And overall, I guess I kind of want to ask the question, which is that, are video games regressing, like as a medium? Let's talk about it. First, you have places like thegamer.com, which is kind of a cesspool that always tries to skirt around things in order to push a narrative. They recently stated that Avowed is a top seller on Steam, and if you were to read this, you would believe it. However, they immediately countered their own statement, where here in their summary they state that Avowed is the top-selling game, but only in the United Kingdom side of Steam, not the whole world. Oh, okay, so then Avowed is not the best-selling game on Steam, is it? This is like me saying that my grandma thinks I'm the most handsome boy in the world while ignoring what everyone else's grandma thinks of me. But maybe this analogy doesn't work because both my grandmas are dead. Anyway, moving on. It is interesting to see how websites are trying to run damage control already for Avowed like this. I think the game would have been received decently enough if their art director wasn't an absolute insane person. The same guy who said that he wants to replace all white people with black people and Obsidian, as if this somehow would make the gaming industry better. I genuinely just think that these game designer types are just self-loathing people, and they will say whatever is politically correct in order to weasel their way into the goodwill of the very people they are pandering to, who will definitely not care who or what happens to them whenever they leave or end up dying. I can't imagine pandering to people who genuinely just view you as an awful human being on no basis but simply your skin color. It's such a bizarre thing to champion, in my opinion, but thankfully the world is with all this nonsense and people are not buying it as much anymore. When I look at Avowed, I see a bunch of stuff that just doesn't interest me. The combat, yeah, that seems fine enough. Mostly because it's just Skyrim with guns, I guess. But then you have weird characters like this thing here, which somehow has a mustache on top of its overgrown furry face. You know how hairy you have to be to grow a mustache over an entire body of hair like that? If I saw this thing in real life, I would smash it with a hammer. Of course, to the surprise of somebody, Jason Schreier loved Avowed because it ticks all the right boxes for him. I'm going to remind you, this is the same guy who championed Veilguard when he came out with his infamous "Go Woke, Go Break the Charts" tweet that he did eventually delete when the game failed and didn't reach the highs that he claimed it would. We see you, Jason, you're trying to be slick, but it isn't working. But what's extra funny to me is how a few months back, the art director of Avowed tried to paint Elon Musk as a bad guy because Elon claimed that pronouns in a fantasy game are stupid. Then Matt Hansen, the art director, replied back, "Then I wanted so badly to make him mad with my game, and I cannot believe it actually happened. Just waiting for these default sad little SHIT." So Matt Hansen confirmed that he deliberately wanted Avowed to paint the people like Elon Musk with their integration of pronouns and whatever else in the game. Not a good look, I know. But it's very obvious that between then and now, Obsidian has absolutely realized that the political climate of the world has definitely changed. Because Avowed is in early access right now. People playing it have confirmed that, as you can see right here on screen, that Avowed now has an option when you make the character to completely disregard and remove the pronoun option from the game entirely. I know this pissed off Matt Hansen bad, since he spent literal years pushing for the slot to be in the game. Some people might look at this and go, well, this is Obsidian caving into Gamergate. They are giving you what you want, so is the game now worth playing? The jury is still out on that one if you ask me. Whether I play it or not, it wouldn't be anytime soon, since I'm a PlayStation player primarily anyways. So I can't exactly play Avowed when I want to at launch anyways, but it doesn't bother me because I'm drowning in games right now to begin with. That being said, seeing these types being forced to implement features that completely remove the very things they added to own the chud, so to speak, is very validating and honestly hilarious if we're being honest. Unfortunately, there's not an in-game option to make Avowed not look like a mushroom-infested nightmare of a game. I think despite it being a first-person Elder Scrolls-like game, the end result is just still not my cup of tea, solely based on how everything looks. There's this very, how do I put this, storybook but kind of goofy look to everything in the game from the previews. And personally, I'm kind of over this look in games already, and I yearn for a far more serious, darker tone in my fantasy RPGs going forward. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older and my knees crack when I walk, but I'm just not as interested in stuff that looks like it's full of animatronic Furbies with mustaches. The entire art design of this game, which unironically was shepherded by this Matt Hansen guy who clearly hates people like me, is probably going to be the major reason why I avoid Avowed entirely anyways. I just simply don't like how it looks. Again, will I try it when it comes to PlayStation? I don't know, but my gut reaction right now is that it kind of just gives off that Tiny Tina Wonderlands look kind of, but it's also mixed with Fable, but like that new Fable look, if that makes sense. But it's also kind of pathetic how we are 14 years removed from Skyrim, yet how that game looks and operates is still some of the best RPG you can have in a game even to this day. I replayed Skyrim when the remaster of the remaster came out on PS5 because I hadn't played it in a while. And lo and behold to myself, not even realizing it, but I played it so much I ended up 100%ing the main game, and I got all the trophies for it. And it ended up being the best game that I played in 2021, which yeah, I know, how can an older game be the best game you played that year? But in my defense, 2021 was very barren for good releases, and nothing really spoke to me that year. So the fact that Skyrim just ended up being the best game I played that year, I guess, which kind of tells you where gaming is headed, isn't necessarily the best thing right now to hear. I guess I just kind of yearn for games to be fantasy worlds or whatever else, and just not bring in the real-life nonsense into them. But unfortunately, that just doesn't seem to be the case for a lot of these Western studios anymore. They just can't help themselves, it seems. It sucks how you think you can play something and get lost in the world, but can't actually because the developers keep reminding you of their delusional real-world takes. Like, let's pivot from Avowed and the whole Pillars of Eternity thing for a second here to look at Magic the Gathering. A different franchise, sure, but these are all kind of the same thing. They're fantasy RPG stuff in the end. Anyway, this is from Games Radar Plus. Magic the Gathering lead designer says trans people, people of color, and women playing a larger role are all part of modern fantasy because they're all part of the actual world. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So this stems from Mark Rosewater. He's the lead designer on Magic the Gathering, how he believes that fantasy works. Whether it's card games, tabletop, video games, and Avowed, all of it should reflect the real world and be representative of the powers that live within it. Rosewater responds to a fan question who pleaded that Magic the Gathering doesn't include stuff like a million pronouns and stuff like trans fairies. Well, here's what he said. For far too long, fantasy as a genre was used as a way to reflect the worldview of those in power. It leaned into stereotype and reflected how the privileged wished the world was. He continues with, entertainment is at its best when it lifts everyone up and isn't used as yet another means to ignore certain people's reality. But that's the thing, Mark. Fantasy isn't reality. That's why it's called fantasy. The entire point of the genre, whether it's magic or a vow, is that it should not represent or look like anything we are accustomed to seeing in the real world. If I wanted to see a bunch of they-themers, I would just go attend a furry convention. Like I've said many times already, it's not that having politics in your games or your books is a bad thing necessarily. It's that you need to ensure that the politics that are within your work are political, but within the confines of the world. One of my favorite games of all time is Final Fantasy Tactics. If you've played it, you know where I'm going with this. That game's story and world is heavily political. You play a half-royal blood warrior named Ramza Bailey, who is thrusted into a massive war called the War of the Lions, and ends up plunging the entirety of evilness into chaos as lawlessness runs rampant, sides are chosen, and even Ramza's best friend from childhood, a man named Delita, he decides that it's up to him alone to completely unravel the corruption that is strangling Ivalice's population into inevitable oblivion. The game's entire plot is about politics. Lords and kings are fighting, bandits and mercenaries are betraying one another, and innocent lives are being lost. You face off against all kinds of institutions, from corrupt religions, kingdoms, and even eventually uncover a sinister plot that involves magical beings that are core to the War of the Lions. Final Fantasy Tactics is about as political a game as you can get. However, it doesn't speak on, say, Donald Trump or anything else. Well, the game did come out in the 90s. But even then, its story was not designed to be a big FU, so to speak, to the real-world politics or any one leader of its time. It uses politics and religious extremism and the bigotry of man, but it then combines it within the confines of its own world, where you're faced with plenty of things that you must overcome. But again, they rightfully and smartly put these things within the world of evilness, not America or, say, China. And this is why games like Tactics, or hell, even Skyrim 2, are beloved to this day. Nobody said that you can't have politics, or slavery, or anything else really in your games. The problem is that creators today are regressing